This conference will now be recorded.
We could have people start to get settled. There we go.
Hey, I know. All right.
Well, maybe Mac. It's you.
All right, if I can have everyone's attention, we're going to start the North Front Range Transportation and Air Quality Planning Council. As we always do, we start the meeting with pledge of allegiance. If you're able to, please join us. I'm looking for the flag.
You're right.
Behind you. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome, thank you. Before I open public comment, I do want to introduce the new executive director of the Front Range NPO, Paul Sizemore. I'm going to have him say a couple of words, but Paul has been the director of community development and neighborhood services. I don't know how you got that on the business card, but
A lot of abbreviations.
he also has NPO experience with the Grand Valley NPO in Lisa County, and previous planning and community development experience in Florida. Paul, welcome on behalf of the NPO. Paul started, I guess, last week, the week before. Yeah, so as planned, because we do very well with planning, we had a month overlap. So he's been able to spend time with Suzette, and so welcome him when you can, and I'd like him to say a few words.
Yeah, thank you very much for the welcome, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate it. This is my 6th day on the job, so I'm drinking from the proverbial fire hose right now. I just want to express gratitude to the members of the council for bringing me here, to the staff of the NPO, and especially to Suzette for overlapping with me for an entire month. It's been a great 6 days so far. Just some of my initial impressions. It's really wonderful to be stepping into an organization that's stable and successful and has a really supportive council. I'm very appreciative of that. And in just the first few days, it's very apparent that there's a lot changing in the region and in the state. And so I'm looking forward to making sure that we stay nimble so that we can stay out in front of some of those changes. I'm still working on some of my transition goals for the next few months, but I wanted to let you know at a very high level that my intent is to reach out early on and connect with each of you on the council and your staff members that are critical to the functions of the NPO. I've also been building a learning plan so that I can get fully up to speed on important issues and really maximize this time that I have to draw on Suzette's knowledge. And this includes digging into the very complicated topic of air quality, which I've heard again and again is a major topic of conversation right now for the NPO. And then also finally, working to really get to know the staff team at the NPO and assimilate with them and leading some high priority recruitments so that we can get that team fully staffed. So I will be connecting with you all in the near future, and again, just want to express my gratitude for being here.
Thank you, Paul. And just so you know, you don't have to wear a suit and tie. You'll never see me again. All right, if we can, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anybody in the room with public comment? All right, Seeing none, let's move on to the acceptance of the meeting agenda. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at it, any questions and deletions, etc. If I can get a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second. Got it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, approval of minutes. Same drill. Hopefully you had a chance to look at the last minutes, any changes, deletions, errors, omissions. Seeing none,
So moved, Joni.
got it. Somebody's got it. All right, Aaron Rose has got it. All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Super. Moving on to the lead planning agency for air quality agenda. We have a couple of reports. First one is a written report. You can find it in the packet, page 8. That's the Air Pollution Control Division report. Also, I hopefully be on the phone for the North Front Range Air Quality Program updates. You can follow along on page 11. Otherwise, I'm sure she'll throw it on the screen. So Dana, take it away.
All right. There were several notable air quality highlights in June. We started seeing some higher ozone levels in the non-attainment area as a whole, ranging from 83 to 71 parts per billion on an 8-hour average. Since then, I took a look again just today. We've had a few more high readings, specifically at Fort Collins West, Fort Collins, and Greeley Tower. Those were all hovering somewhere around 70 parts per billion, which is the standard. They're a little bit over, obviously. The LaSalle monitor, we did see, as of yesterday, a higher reading at 78. So we continue to track ozone as things are heating up, and we go through the rest of the summer. The RAC has a great link if you haven't taken a look at it. My links aren't working in the document that I sent to you when I PDF it. So if you're interested at all, I can share that with you. But it's a great way to kind of track what's going on in terms of ozone. At the Air Quality Control Commission, they are continuing to move forward with several rulemakings that are of interest to the North Front Range NPO. One is removing the carbon monoxide element of the SIP because it's an air quality success story, and we have actually met the standard and are moving to remove that from the Colorado State implementation plan or the air quality plan for the state. But keeping the necessary implementing regulations in place. So we're continuing to track that. There's going to be a hearing on that here in August. Staff initially submit a party status request just simply to support that effort, not knowing whether or not there would be other entities seeking party status. No one did, and so that request was withdrawn. So we're just tracking that and making sure that gets adopted as proposed. We're also tracking what's going on with the Air Quality Control Commission's revisions to their procedure rules, so how they conduct business. They've put a pretty dramatic revision out to kind of encapsulate much of the practices that they've been taking in recent years, and to put a little bit more detail out there. So we're tracking what's going on that. We should see the commission in July set a hearing. Hopefully that'll be in November. So we will continue to engage with them. Staff has submitted some comments on that, but we will continue to engage and just make sure that there's good practices involved, even for those that don't choose to seek party status, but want to stay in tune with what the commission's doing. All right, moving on. EPA briefed the RAC board on the implementation of reformulated gasoline in the Denver metropolitan North Front Range non-attainment area. Recall that is a requirement that happens automatically because the area has been designated as a severe ozone non-attainment area. And so those requirements went into place this summer. Colorado did submit a request for a waiver from that requirement. EPA has not taken action on that, but everybody's watching very closely at fuel costs and fuel supply to see whether or not they need to formally take action. So that's something that we'll continue to track. The air quality enterprise at the CDPHE continues to consider potential ozone-related projects to fund in their round 2 funding opportunities. And so they're expected to select projects and release that funding in early 2025. So you were seeing a number of projects that they're discussing right now related to improving emission inventories, doing some things to track wildfire and its influence on ozone, some other kinds of tools. So anyway, that's an interesting process, but we're tracking that as well. EPA announced an opportunity to seek funding for oil and gas methane mitigation projects. And so if anybody's not aware of that, is interested in that, that's another one of those links that I can drop in the chat if you're at all interested in that. Lastly, the Intermountain West Transportation Planning Agencies. There are a number of those of Suzette's peers, Paul's peers in Arizona, Idaho, Nevada, and Utah. They all met at the end of May to discuss, some of the challenges they're all seeing. And in particular, they're seeing a diverging trend in observed ozone levels compared to the reductions in precursor pollutants that form ozone. And so that's the reduction in man-made air pollution that's developed or created in their jurisdictions. And so they're wanting to work together to try to figure out what to do about that, how to better understand what's going on. And so you're going to see more from them as to some options as they're exploring. So I don't know if anyone with the North Range MPO staff, if they want to speak to anything I've shared or add any more details.
Go ahead.
I would just say Tina covered it really well. We did have that in-person meeting in Arizona to talk about the background issues, and Colorado Springs has really taken the lead on trying to help address these issues with EPA. They've written a letter, that we're going to be encouraging EPA to start doing some more work on our behalf to help with these issues. Also, I think most of you know this, but just in case you don't, the governors from 4 states, including Colorado, signed a letter to President Biden talking about some of our ozone issues and really wanting help from the administration and also from EPA to help address some of our background issues. I think we all know that our background ozone readings are high, and it's just a problem across the Intermountain West. It just has to do with our meteorology. It has to do with what comes in from other areas that is not ours. So just so you know that we're working on all of that. It's a slow process, but we're working on it.
All right, any questions for?
Yeah, I have a comment. On June 28th, I attended a ribbon cutting ceremony at Bethke Elementary, which is in Timnath, the eastern part of Larimer County. Larimer County has installed, the health department installed a new air quality monitor that is going through its initial testing and I guess certification, but eventually we'll be able to monitor in the eastern part of Larimer County in the near future, and it'll get posted to the website. The other ones too.
That's great.
Well.
Thank you. Any other questions for Gina or Susan? All right. Seeing none, I'll close the lead planning agency for air quality agenda and move on to the Metropolitan Planning Organization agenda. Series of reports, starting with the report of the chair, that's me. We're going to talk about the Finance Committee. If you bear with me, there's 4 current members: Johnny Olson, Mark Clark, Kristen Stevens, and Matt Freeze. It is Freeze, right? It's not.
It is.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we need one more to fill that committee. Just a suggestion, got Tricia down, I got Bill Jenkins, he's new, he's a rookie, we can put him on that. Or Will Carswell.
I'll take it.
You're a lovely man, thank you very much, Bill. Appreciate it. All right, we have a full, that's right, we have a 5 and we're good. All right, that being the end of my report, Executive Director report, Paul Sizemore. Welcome, Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got just a couple of general updates. As many of you know, a couple of weeks ago was Spike's Work Day. Like many organizations in the community, NPO staff were out there staffing stations, 5 different stations, 5 different towns, interacting with 246 people. So thank you to the staff for going out and being a part of that big community event. I'd also like to introduce a new transportation planner who has joined our staff, Jonathan Stockberger. Want to go away, Jonathan? Hey. Yeah, well, probably down in the front row. So Jonathan started about 2 weeks before I did, and he has just dove right into working on freight issues and learning about the operations of the NPO. So you'll be seeing a lot more of them. Like the circle of life, we welcome new folks, new colleagues, and we also say goodbye to some others. And so I'm sad to let you know that Anna Rose Cunningham is going to be leaving the NPO at the beginning of next month. She's going to be joining the US DOT Volpe Center for a very exciting research opportunity. So it's a big loss for the NPO and for the region, but a gain for the rest of the country. She will be doing research for. Thank you for your service. The final item, which I think is the one actually listed on the agenda there that I'd like to give some information about, is digital accessibility. And so, as many of you are probably aware, back in your own jurisdictions, in 2021, the state enacted legislation called the Colorado Laws for Persons with Disabilities, and that requires state and local governments to make their websites and the materials on their websites more accessible to people with disabilities. And so NPO staff have been working to prepare for the July 1st effective date, which was just a couple of weeks ago. And now that it's here, we're required to meet those accessibility guidelines, not just for our website, but also for digital media like PDFs and PowerPoint presentations. So as a result, in the coming months, you're going to see some changes to the formatting of your agendas, to executive summaries, to memos and your council packets. The good news is that in addition to making these documents accessible for people with disabilities, it also makes them more accessible for all of the rest of us as well. So we see this as an all-around improvement. Going forward, we're also working on updating content on the NPO website and creating more accessible versions of existing documents that are already out there. And you'll see this represented in the Transportation Improvement Program tables that'll be coming to council in your August packet. So bottom line, you're going to see some changes in document formats in the coming months, and this is the reason why. If you've got any questions about formatting or accessibility, feel free to just let me know.
Awesome, thank you, Paul. Any questions for Paul? Next is the mobility report, which is on page 14 of the packet. We also include the finance report, page 18 in the packet. We don't need to accept that, do we? And then the community advisory committee handout, that's in the handout packet. Report as well. Move on to presentations, mobility program update and website administration. Follow on page 19 of the packet. Corey Smith will present.
The agenda title is only half true. There's no demonstration, but there is an update.
All right, good.
Good evening, council. Thank you for the invitation to update you all on progress on the implementation of Rhino-NOCO and the mobility program. When we booked this on the agenda, I thought that we'd be all the way over the finish line of the final phase of the project, but we're just halfway across right now because technology projects are difficult and things take time, but we're really excited about where we're going with the Right NOCO program and what this means for people in your communities today. And since the clicker work, or was that? Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right, since there are a couple new faces in the crowd today, figured we'd launch into giving a little bit of background context on the mobility program at Right NOCO. So Right NOCO is the most familiar kind of association with our mobility program, but we really wear kind of four main hats. We operate our one call, one click center, Right NOCO. We convene and facilitate 2 county mobility committees and 1 regional Northern Colorado mobility committee. We also undertake the federally required Coordinated Public Transit Human Services Transportation Plan. And then we also provide technical assistance and some sub-recipient oversight to small nonprofit agencies across the region. The road to Right NOCO started all the way back in 2013 when Larimer County created their 2013 to 2018 strategic plan, which really identified a large increase in an aging population as in their transportation needs as something that needed to be planned for. That plan laid the framework for various needs assessments and pilots that culminated in the Larimer County Senior Transportation Implementation Plan that was completed in late 2019. And that laid out a vision for Right NOCO. While the planning was specific to Larimer County, the NPO was really seen as a lead champion for implementing that framework, just because of the regional nature of the plan and those relationships vested in the NPO. So Right NOCO kind of culminated out of that as being that hub for finding information for improving individual mobility as well as improving regional mobility for individuals in the region, not just older adults and people with disabilities, but also people that have lower incomes or may not speak English as a first language. And this grand vision of creating a one-stop shop, essentially, to both find about transportation options, plan trips, and book rides, was really a very ambitious vision that we broke into 3 phases. First with the call center in 2021, which operates Monday through Friday, and provides over-the-phone information for folks that need transportation assistance. The second phase, which was completed at the end of 2022, along with the website. Hold on, I am all out of order here. I'm nervous. So as part of that phase 1 was also the launch of the Right NOCO website. And before we dive into phases 2 and 3, I just wanted to highlight, that's also in your handouts packet. A new thing that we're going to start doing is providing quarterly snapshots to the council and TAC about kind of what kind of issues and what kind of themes that we're hearing in our call center. And as you can see, we've had more calls in the first 2 quarters of 2024 than we did in all of 2022, which I think really speaks to the growth of the outreach of the program, the needs that it's helping fulfill. The catch-22 of that is that it means there's a lot of people in this region that have transportation challenges that aren't being adequately met through the resources and systems that we currently have. So as I was saying, that second phase, building upon the website and the call center, was creating a trip planning and discovery tool. Just so we're familiar, if we're going to Google Maps or another app, of if we're looking for a fixed route bus service to see how we can get from point A to point B. What didn't exist was a way to see, well, maybe you can't access the fixed route service. Maybe you're looking for a volunteer transportation provider or even a bike or a scooter. What this planner did was incorporate not only the fixed route services, but also the volunteer services. So you could really discover what options were available in addition to being a standard trip planner. And then kind of the meat of tonight's presentation is really talking about the halfway being completed with phase 3. So back when the Senior Transportation Implementation Plan was completed and adopted, things were kicking off very early 2020, and we all know it started happening soon after. So this original vision as laid out in the implementation plan really called upon the NPO to purchase, implement, and manage one transportation scheduling software on behalf of volunteer transportation providers across Larimer and Weld counties. After kind of the really serious part of the pandemic and the lockdowns, we convened a scheduling steering committee and learned that that wasn't the route that these providers wanted to take. They really wanted to maintain their client relationships, and they were kind of hesitant of change after so much in their personal and professional worlds were really kind of changed dramatically in the years preceding. So rather than focusing on centralization for phase 3 of the one call one click center, we shifted to coordination. So we wanted to help agencies share and coordinate those trips while allowing agencies to remain in control of those scheduling and relationships with their clients and riders. And rather than our staff here at the NPO scheduling trips on behalf of these providers, we actually just could help start that process by determining eligibility and conducting initial intake. So part of the reason why this has been quite a tedious project is that this project has involved basically building the plugs that you see on the right side of your screen. On the left is kind of the existing context when it comes to transportation technology connection. So if you want one software to talk to a different software, you need to create a separate plug that can basically connect to communicate. What the transactional data specification, or TDS, allows is one plug to be created that allows those exchanges of messages and information to occur. So the 5 agencies, well, it was 2 vendors and 5 agencies that have been part of this initial rollout of phase 3 are 60+ Ride that serve Weld County, Saint in the Loveland and Fort Collins areas, and Raft in the Berthoud area. And we were working exclusively with their software vendors over the last year and a half to build these plugs to allow that seamless communication between their platforms. So as of the beginning of this month, we are now able to conduct that initial customer intake on behalf of these agencies, which really cuts down that friction and that timeline that it takes for folks to get registered for these services. It's different than calling an Uber or calling a cab or getting on a bus. Most of these agencies require sometimes days, if not weeks, of enrollment and paperwork to fill out. And kind of the current status quo with RideNoco is that Lisa or Brooke, our mobility specialists, could say, okay, here's your situation. This provider might be a good resource for you. Here's their phone number, give them a call. What we're now able to do is remove that phone call and actually start taking that customer information over the phone. So things like their date of birth, their address, what kind of mobility needs they may have, and then seamlessly send that along to one of these participating providers to really speed up that process and get them riding on the services they need sooner rather than later. So that client information, customer information piece, that part is launched. The part that will come over the coming weeks is that ability for the peer-to-peer communication among these transportation providers. So they can gift trips from one agency to another. They can coordinate rides. So in the gifting example, say there's a 60+ Ride client in Southwest Weld County near Berthoud that needs a ride on a date, and they don't have a driver available. What they can do through this TDS technology is ping Raft and say, okay, you guys are really close. We have this individual that needs a ride. Do you think you'd all be able to help this person out? They can say yes or no, and then take that over to help speed up and really provide more rides for more individuals. And then that last piece is really helping those more long distance, interregional inter-county trips. That coordinating piece would allow multiple agencies to say, okay, maybe we have someone in Bertha that needs to get to a doctor's appointment in Greeley, but there's not a driver in Bertha that would drive that individual to Greeley. Through this technology, they can work within their systems to say, okay, if Raft can get this person to 25 and 34 shopping center, a 60-plus ride driver could get them to the doctor's office in Greeley, and then do the same reverse back home. So we're really excited in the long term for what those two pieces, the trip coordination will allow. Then just wanted to wrap up with kind of a side benefit of this TDS Phase 3 project is all the new data tools that we have available, which you'll start seeing in these quarterly data snapshots. We can really dive in to see, okay, how many of our callers are over the age of 60? You can have a heat map of where we're getting more calls from different communities in the region and really hear what kind of gaps they're experiencing and quantify those really for the first time beyond just anecdotal Excel data points. So now that we are coming to the end of kind of the rollout of RideNoco as was envisioned in that implementation plan back in 2019, the timing's great as Paul's coming on board to figure out, okay, where does the mobility program in RideNoco go next? And we don't have a blueprint plan to say have those answers yet, but there's a couple of things that we are working towards. One, as has been discussed at length, is really building in a TDM, transportation demand management component to our mobility management program, really feeling whether you need resources to get to work or get to a doctor's office, having one central information hub really benefits everyone for helping find what resources are available for them in the region. This TDS project and this technology, we are really pioneers, not just regionally, but nationally for this really new and exciting technology. Now that we've done the hard work of getting that plug figured out, now we work with other agencies to expand adoption of that so more agencies can become part of this network of seamless communication. And then we want to continue to identify and address regional transportation gaps, similar to the success of working with Weld County and via mobility for their expansion in rural portions of the county. We want to keep identifying those gaps and coming together with partners to find solutions to bring more services, more resources for your community members. With that, be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Corey?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to say congratulations. This is a big project as someone who saw complex software development. I understand the challenges. I also think that what you guys have created is particularly important. The ability to collect that data is probably the most valuable thing that you're doing from a planning perspective, because you're going to be able to identify gaps and where they are, and then be able to look for solutions for where those gaps are and build the client base for this system. So I think that's really critical. So I'll be looking forward to seeing your quarterly data reports. I think we'll learn a lot. So thanks to the team.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Go right ahead. Which one is it? Comment?
It's a comment, and I just want to say, from what Corey's presentation, you can see that in the 4 years that the mobility program has been up and running, that Corey and his team have done a lot of work. And that is all because everybody on this council said that setting up this mobility team was important. So thanks to all of you for your support, putting this all together, and thanks to Corey and his team for doing all the hard work to make it really happen. So we'll be interested to see what happens in the next round.
Thank you.
And it's very impressive.
Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, evidently I have an old agenda, which includes number 11, FEMA base level engineering. We are not having that tonight. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. If we do what we do in Loveland, we just ask if there's any members that want that item pulled and discussed. Otherwise, we'll just vote to accept the consent agenda. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Action item 2023, North Front Range NPO audit. Michelle and Robert, if they're online. Okay. I don't know who wants to begin, but go for it.
I'll begin. I'm Michelle Edgerly. I'm with Go Figure Accounting. I'm the outside consultant for the MPO, and I was the person that was primarily responsible for pulling together the work papers for the audit, and then the point person for getting the correspondence and questions between MHP, the auditing firm, and the MPO. Happy to say that we finished our audit quite a bit sooner than we did last year. It took us into the fall, and so we're happy about that. The audit has a clean opinion. There wasn't any significant deficiencies in internal controls that were found. There was no non-compliance, no violations noted. And at the end of the day, the MPO is considered a low-risk auditee. That all being said, there was a finding during the audit that had to do with the budget, the 2024 budget. We provide MHP with the budget that was approved by council, and then any amendments with regards to that budget. And there was a lack of documentation between when the budget was adopted and then the amendments occurred. And so MHP issued a finding about that, and the MPO had to do a corrective action, which Suzette did. It's a piece of the audit, basically stating what's going to be done differently in the future. And we've already taken some steps to ensure that that issue doesn't happen again. But overall, the audit went a lot smoother. We did present this to the Finance Committee a couple of weeks ago, but we only had one member present. And so I think the process for the evening will be Robert will discuss the audit in more detail. And then I believe it goes to council for acceptance of the audit, because since we only had the one person, I don't think we couldn't accept it at that time. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think procedurally that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so unless there's questions for me, I'll turn the floor over to Robert from MHP, and he'll get into the details. If you all do have questions during the course of the presentation, I'm happy to answer any questions that may arise. So I'll turn the floor over to Robert. Thank you.
All right, I'll take it from here. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Dahill. I'm the engagement partner for the audit, and I'll kind of jump in. A lot of what I'm going to have to say will ultimately be just a repeat of what Michelle had indicated. So, if you happen to have the report in front of you, if you have it there, you could look on page 42 of the report. There we go. That might be PDF page 42. If you keep going down a couple more pages. There you go. That's the page. Perfect. So what this is this kind of provides a great synopsis of the audit in total. So when we do an audit, there's two main pieces of the audit. One is an audit of the financial statements, and then one, since the MPO has received more than $750,000 in federal funds, we have to audit those federal programs. So we audit the federal side as well. So in regards to the financial statements, we've issued what's considered an unmodified opinion. That's a clean opinion. That's the type of opinion that you want to receive. And what it's saying is that the financial statements, as they're presented in this report, are in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles and are not materially misstated. So, like I said, that's the type of opinion that you want to receive. As part of an audit of the financial statements, we do go through and look at the internal controls surrounding the financial reporting aspect of things. And overall, everything was fine. And as Michelle did indicate, we did find one item, and that was related to the budget. Just it wasn't anything that the budget was incorrect. What we were just what we had difficulties doing was getting from the original approved budget to the final budget as presented. So we did end up needing to report that, and that was reported as a significant deficiency. And as indicated, a corrective action plan was put together. We've reviewed that corrective action plan, find it sufficient, that it will address the needs as it goes. And it basically that corrective action plan is indicating is that each time there's a change made to the budget, that it will be reflected in the minutes so that there's always a good tracking mechanism for that. So we did not, as part of the audit, we also go through and we don't specifically look for, but we do need to bring to your attention if there was any instances where we found non-compliance with laws and regulations. And in no case did we come across anything like that. So then the second part of the audit is related to the federal programs, and the NPO receives has expended approximately $1.1 million of federal funds. That's primarily related to the highway planning and construction grants, which is about just over $1 million. So we go through and we audit those programs in accordance with the uniform guidance. That's the guidance provided by the government that says what to go through, what to look for, what to test. And so we went through and did that. We did not come across anything where we found the funds were not spent or reported in accordance with the federal guidelines. We also looked and made sure that there were proper internal controls over the use of those funds. And as such, we didn't come across anything that we needed to report as a material weakness or a significant deficiency regarding the management of those funds. And so as indicated, this results in the NPO being considered a low risk oddity. And what the low risk oddity means is that it just sets the bar as to how much of the federal funds have to be audited and things like that. So we've audited the majority of all of the funds, and like I said, things came together in good shape. So overall, the audit went extremely well. The information provided to us was in good shape. We did not have significant issues or problems with anything. There were some delays in getting things done, but that was primarily a result of internal turnover and just Michelle's availability of trying to juggle many different matters. But overall, everything was provided as expected and in accordance with what we would expect. So from our perspective, the audit went extremely well, extremely better than it had gone last year, where we had run into some issues between the funds and getting everything reconciled. So when the trial balance was originally provided to us, not only was the general fund in balance and reconciled. The Van Gogh fund was also in balance and reconciled as well. And so then we go through and audit those numbers and make sure that they're supported by either third-party documentation or other support. So overall, it went well. Numbers wise, things were pretty consistent with the prior year. Anything that did look unusual, we were able to get sufficient explanation as to why things may have gone up or gone down. But overall, things were pretty consistent between the years. So with that, I'll stop talking and then just turn it over in case anyone has any questions or would like me to elaborate on anything.
Any questions for Robert and or Michelle? We're seeing nothing on this end, Robert. Thank you so
All right,
much.
thank you. Yes, and just do want to say thank you to Suzette and Michelle and everyone at the NPO. Like I said, the audit went extremely well, so it makes our lives a lot easier when the audit when things are ready and balanced and goes well. So thank you for their hard work in getting things tweaked from last year to this year. So made our lives a lot easier.
Super. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
For the constable, we have a choice to make. Since there is only one consular on the finance committee, Kristen Stevens did not have a problem with the report at all, but she felt a little uncomfortable being the only one to approve it. So we can either delay this for a month and give everybody on this council a chance to look through the data. If you're like me, between Suzette and the auditors, that's what I go by. I don't look at anything else. But if somebody wants to do that, we'll delay for a month. If you're comfortable with the report, which by the way was a very good report, there's just one action item that we're already well along the way of getting that fixed. So it's a pretty good report. If there was issues, problems, whatever, I would not recommend that at all. But based on the content of this year's audit, I feel comfortable doing it. Is there anybody that does not feel comfortable approving it tonight? Awesome. All right. So I'd like to hear a motion to approve the 2020 NFRMPO audit.
So moved.
All right. Hearing a second. Any further discussion? I guess I should ask that. All right. Hearing none.
I'll just make a quick
Yeah,
comment.
please.
The fact that we're low risk and both auditors involved said that it was a clean audit except for one exception. There's corrective action been taken. I think it's great.
Super. Any other comments? Any other comments? All right. We all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Super. Thank you. And reports. Sylvia first with the transportation.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. We had our meeting last month was a lot of diving into how we frame, how we start, who we include in putting together a 10-year plan. And it was mainly that. And it's gonna be that for a while. We are looking at how do we pull, all of you in, all of the regional entities and the public. And I think in the fall, we'll be coming out with, some town halls, probably all electronic by region or district. We're not sure yet, but it's all about that. That's where we are. What is it that, how do we set goals? Who gets to participate in that? Et cetera, et cetera. So It's going to take quite a while to put that, to pen and paper. Yeah, we're going to be working long and hard at budgeting goals. We have to take a look at what the Fed has been giving us, what might happen going forward. It's a pretty complicated, process. We elected a new chair and a vice chair. So Terry Hart, who is in District 10, which is way south and out towards the east, he's been with us for quite some time, and he is a new chair. And Eula Adams, who's just south of Denver, is the vice chair. And yeah, that's more or less what went on, and we're going to be doing more of that, as time goes by. We didn't have a lot of projects come in front of us for approval. I'm expecting that, and especially from our region, to probably come up in September, maybe August, maybe September or October. Yeah, that's my report. Any questions on that?
Any questions for Jim? You're just getting ready. Okay, I think we're good, Jim. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks a lot.
Yes. Next, we have the C.R4 update. Josie Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Severance, for hosting. Really appreciate it, Mayor. Love Bruce's, so thanks. So tonight I just wanted to give a quick update on some hot weather we're seeing. I don't know if you guys have been outside recently. Maybe a day here you went outside. We have some really, really hot temperatures. With that comes a lot of safety concerns with hot vehicles. So I wanted to bring awareness to that. So we're really wanting, CFP in particular actually came out with a really wonderful press release that I can try to find and send out to you guys, but it's really important that we're keeping in mind children and elderly, people with disabilities, that we really make sure with the changing schedules from kids being out in summertime and things just feeling and looking a little bit different there, that we're not forgetting anyone that we love in our vehicles when it's this hot outside. Heat stroke can happen when it's 57 degrees in the right conditions. That's crazy. You would think, oh, 57 degrees, not a big deal. It's a big deal. So you can imagine when it gets to be 100 degrees outside, that can happen in minutes. So what does this mean? Fort Collins, they looked up all the data from last year. We had 96 days with temperatures over 80 degrees. And then nationwide between 1998 and 2023, when it comes to child hot car deaths, shockingly, 52% of those were due to being unknowingly left in a vehicle. There was also 25% that gained unsupervised access to a vehicle, which is always just really awful to hear. And 21% were left knowingly in the vehicle. So what does that look like for Colorado? Over the last 25 years, really proud to say, I'm not proud to say, over the last 10 years, I'm really proud to say, over the last 25 years, we've lost 7 children due to vehicle heat stroke, but over the last 10, over the last decade, that number's 0. So we are trending in the right direction. Let's keep that up. How do you do that? I have heard a really fun saying that I'm going to share with you guys, and it's look before you lock. I know car technology is getting better. There's little reminders to check your back seat before you exit. I know mine does that. But there's other things too. Putting your bag in the back seat so that you have to look back and grab it when you're exiting the vehicle and such. So this also goes for our furry friends. We hear a lot of dogs specifically being left in hot vehicles. I can't handle that. Please make sure you don't do that. Cracking the window is not enough. So I also want to give a big congratulations. I believe Councilman Olson is on here if he's not. He knows this, but City of Greeley, they got their $20.5 million raise grant award. I'm very proud to just be able to say that. It's a great project. You guys know the need for it. So congratulations to Greeley. And then I just wanted to give a quick update. I know you guys are very excited about our I-25 mobility hubs and where we're at with that. Our project teams are getting ready. They're in the process of handing it off to our Division of Transit and Rail for operations purposes. So as they go through that, they're speculating that the openings at Berthoud and Centerra will happen in the late summer, and then 119 will open in the fall. I've also inquired about when tolling will start, and they are anticipating the first quarter of 2025. But just be really safe, don't cross the double white line, that's a big no-no, a lot of fines. So that is it for now. Paul, welcome, we're so excited to work with you. Suzette, I believe this is your last council meeting, or are you going next month? You're going next month, okay.
We're having a party.
I know that, I'm going, don't worry, I registered. We all registered. And Anna Rose, it's been an absolute delight to work with you. I appreciate your help, your coordination efforts, and just you're just a very loyal person to making transportation better in this area, so thank you. And I might cry, so.
But before you cry, are there any questions?
My mascara can't take it.
All right, seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next is the SPAC report. It's a written report. It's page 37 of the packet. After that is the Colorado Transportation Investment Office. That's a written report. You can find that on page 40 of the packet. US 34 Coalition gets kind of confusing. I was elected vice chair, so I ran the meeting, so I guess I have to give the report. Right? All right. So here's what we talked about. For those of you that were not here, the elected vice chair, that's me. Commissioner James is still the chair. We went through a status update from US 34 TMO from the STEER group. We had a project priority list discussion. We had a great presentation, I thought, kind of depressing, but a great presentation. US 34, US 85 interchange update. And then we discussed the US 34, Will County Road 51. That's kind of a newer project, got some feedback on that. And then we had two standing items, the CDOT report, as well as the US 34 TAP report. If you have any suggestions for the agenda next time around, okay, him this time, right? All right, thank you. That's it for that. Front Range Passenger Rail District, Mr. Karsten.
Thank you.
Mary Karsten.
Given that the board decided to delay going to the ballot in November, they decided to also take a month off from all committee meetings. We did meet just as the board to approve a multiple award task order for 3 years of services. One will be for HCR Engineering, one was with a professional services communication infrastructure group, and the last one was with ACOM for technical services. So we just met just to approve those. Since then, I've invited Tricia Canonico to meet with Andy Carson, the general manager, and I. We popped on a call to just do some introductions, general overview. And also, Joan Peck near Longmont has reached out to Northern Colorado communities and wants us all to meet up. So I forwarded that to Tricia as well, and hopefully we can start having those more local meetings. That's all the update I have for this month, given that there was much going on.
Super, thank you for staying involved, appreciate it. Post council member report for a turnover Matt for the food, the facilities. It's beautiful, actually, very well done. And take it away, what's going on?
Very good, thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Severance. I hope that your journey here this evening happened in a very safe and expeditious way. As I think I said the last time I did this, if it wasn't, then just give us some more money for roads. Make sure next time you'll get here faster.
Easy as that.
So, still trying to get funding for our helipad so that you can bring your helicopters over. No. Nothing terribly sexy about what's happening with transportation, but very, very much needed. First up to report on is we recently completed the complete traffic light signal at Weld County Road 23 and Highway 392. We did this with the help of faster funds from CDOT. What I think is really cool about this project is that it was actually introduced to our council prior to me being mayor from 2 high school students requesting a safer way to get to the new Severance High School. And so we are really pleased at increasing the safety at that intersection, as well as making things more efficient for our businesses and so forth. On the same subject of traffic lights, we've now completed the 100% design of the traffic light at East Harmony Road, or County Road 74, and Weld County Road 19. So if you came in on 74, you kind of make that curve there at County Road 19, much needed traffic control there as well. So we're currently awaiting notice to proceed from CDOT, and we are using STBG and local funds to complete that project. New funding just awarded for some additional projects. Great Western Trail was a Rails to Trails program. Took the course of about 17 years, and we did have our ribbon cutting earlier this year. So it's now fully connected from Eaton through Severance to Windsor. We are looking at adding some safety features that we were able to get some grant money for CMAQ and TAP funds for flashing beacons at County Road 23 and at Harmony Road or County Road 74. And then the distance between those, we call that the Severance curve, where the trail starts to curve and go towards Windsor. Also with those funds, we're going to be completely paving that portion of the trail. So we've got some really great amenities for our citizens in terms of the trail. It's 11 miles long. I highly encourage you to take an afternoon. It's some real beautiful scenery. We've also got one bridge on Weld County Road 80 that's a rehab project that we have partially funded with federal funds, and we hope to have that completed next year. On a quick side note, we did just, as a council, as it relates to transportation, I should say, we instituted a transportation utility fund fee that we assessed for every residence in the town of Severance to help us fund the repair and replacement of our roads internally. As you might imagine, it didn't go over terrifically popular, but we think it was the right fiscal and fiduciary responsibility to stay ahead of. Our roads are actually in decent condition, but if we don't have an ongoing funding source to keep it that way, I've seen surrounding areas battle with that. So I think we're headed in the right direction there. What we agreed to do as a council was to put a ballot initiative on this November's ballot, a proposed sales tax increase that would replace that fee. But the cost for us to wait for 1 year was from $800,000 to $1.2 million. And so we wanted to get the projects in place, save the taxpayers ultimately $400,000, but we felt like sales and use tax increase was the proper way and most sustainable way to fund our ongoing repairs. So other than that, I appreciate you being here. As you noticed when you came into town, it's free to arrive. It's not free to leave. I'm sorry. $100 per vehicle, $25 per tire, however you'd like to look at it. But no, very much appreciate you being here, and really glad to host this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. Last but not least, meeting wrap up. Next month's agenda topic suggestions, do not send them to me. Send them to Suzette or Paul, and we'll consider getting on the agenda. So if there's nothing further, we are adjourned. Early.